Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a curious little fox named Finn. Finn was known throughout the woods for his bushy red fur, his pointy ears, and his endless energy. But what Finn loved most of all was his big brain. He loved using his intelligence to solve tricky problems and outsmart his forest friends. One day, while playing hide-and-seek with some squirrels, Finn came across an old, weathered log. He looked around and noticed that the squirrels had disappeared. He could hear their giggles echoing from behind a tall oak tree. "I'm coming!" he called out, trotting towards the oak. But as he turned the corner, the tree blocked his view of the clearing ahead. And when he rounded it, what he saw made him gasp. In front of him stretched a vast expanse of land, a sea of flowers and trees swaying gently in the breeze. A sparkling river meandered through it, reflecting the sunlight like a ribbon of liquid gold. It was the most beautiful place Finn had ever seen, and he couldn't help but wonder what lay beyond the river. Now, the wise old owl had always told the forest animals to stay away from the river. Legend had it that the water was enchanted and would pull anyone too close into its depths. But Finn, with his insatiable curiosity and perhaps a touch of arrogance, decided to test the legend. He took a step towards the river, then another, and soon he was standing at the very edge. Looking back, he realized that the forest behind him was now out of sight. He felt a pang of fear, quickly followed by determination. "There's no turning back now," he thought, readying himself to take the plunge. Just then, a voice boomed through the trees. "Well, what have we here?" A little fox taking a stroll along the river. Startled, Finn whipped around to see two men with guns slung over their shoulders emerging from the trees. They were hunters, and their eyes, sharp and keen, were scanning the area. Realizing that they had been spotted, Finn knew he couldn't run. The hunters were faster on foot. He had to think of something else. Quickly, pretending to be unafraid, Finn raised his head and said in his most nonchalant voice, just admiring the view, "Sirs, you wouldn't happen to have any fish with you, would you? My mother would gobble them up in an instant." The hunters exchanged glances, a smile tugging at the corners of their lips. "So you're a sly one, little fox! But we don't have any fish! If you want some, you'll have to catch your own." With that, they turned and continued their walk, leaving Finn alone again. Once they were out of sight, Finn let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. That was close, he thought, his heart still pounding in his chest. But his relief was short-lived. He had barely calmed down when he heard a twig snap behind him. Turning around, he saw a large, scaly shape slithering towards him. It was a snake, its tongue flickering in and out as it approached. And if Finn hadn't been so scared, he might have admired the snake's elegant movements. But as the snake drew closer, its sharp fangs glinting in the sunlight, fear took over. As the snake got closer, Finn began to panic. He tried to run, but the snake was too quick. It blocked his path, its eyes fixed on him. Just as Finn thought all hope was lost, a gruff voice boomed, "That's enough, serpent. Leave the poor fox cub alone." The snake recoiled, disappearing into the bushes as a massive shape emerged from the foliage. It was a tortoise, its shell gleaming like polished armor. "Thank you," Finn exclaimed, his voice shaking. Are you all right?" The tortoise tilted its head, regarding Finn with ancient eyes. "I am more than all right, young fox. In fact, I am wiser than the ancient oaks that have stood for centuries. You see, I have lived for over 100 years. Finn stared at the tortoise in awe. To be this wise, he thought, must mean being incredibly intelligent. So Finn decided to ask the tortoise a question he had been pondering for a long time. "I have always wondered, what is the secret to being smart?" The tortoise blinked slowly. "Ah! A seeker after wisdom. I like your style, young fox. Come, sit with me and I shall share my knowledge." And so Finn sat down beside the tortoise, eager to learn whatever secrets it had to share. The tortoise pondered for a moment, its gaze distant, as if seeing not just Finn, but all the generations of foxes that had come before him. Finally, it spoke. "Listen closely. Young fox, there are many forms of intelligence. Sometimes it's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Other times, it's about solving riddles or understanding patterns. But the most important kind of intelligence is knowing when to keep your cool. In dangerous situations, young fox, it can mean the difference between life and death. With that, the tortoise nudged a nearby rock with its shell. On it was a series of small pebbles arranged in a particular pattern. "What do you see, Finn?" the tortoise asked. Looking closely, Finn saw 3 pebbles in a row, each slightly larger than the last. Beside them were 6 pebbles arranged in a circle. "I see a line of pebbles in a circle," he replied. "Very observant," the tortoise said with a smile in its voice. "But do you understand the pattern they form?" Finn shook his head, puzzled. "They look like parts of a clock face," he said. "Indeed," the tortoise said, chuckling. "And what time does your clock show?" Confused, Finn examined the arrangement of the pebbles again. Suddenly, he gasped. 3 and 6, he exclaimed. "It's 3 o'clock." The tortoise nodded, its eyes twinkling. "Correct. And why is it important that you figured this out?" "Because," Finn said slowly, realizing the deeper meaning behind the puzzle, "if I had spoken earlier, the hunters could have used my words to figure out where I was. But because I didn't reveal my location, they'll never know I'm here." "Exactly," the tortoise said proudly. "Knowing when to keep your cool and think things through is a valuable skill, young fox. Now, having shared my wisdom with you, I must be on my way. Remember, Finn, your wits are your greatest asset. Use them wisely and always keep your cool." With that, the tortoise lumbered away, disappearing into the trees. Finn watched it go, his mind still racing. He had learned a valuable lesson today, one that could save his life. He thought about how he had outsmarted the hunters and realized that it was Unaja's luck that had saved him. It was his quick thinking and his ability to stay calm under pressure. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Finn knew it was time to go home. He had explored far and wide and had many stories to tell his forest friends. But as he turned to go, he noticed a small, furry creature struggling in a thicket. It was a young rabbit, its leg caught in a hunter's snare. Without hesitation, Finn rushed to help. "Don't worry, little rabbit," he said, using his teeth to gnaw at the ropes. Within moments, the rabbit was free. "Thank you, kind fox," it said, hopping away. Just then, a distressed meow echoed through the trees. Finn, always ready to help, followed the sound and soon found a tiny kitten stranded on a branch above a deep ravine. "Don't be afraid, Ken," he said, leaping onto the branch. Gently, he coaxed the kitten to come closer until he could safely pick it up. The relieved kitten purred loudly as Finn carried it back to solid ground. Finally, as the stars began to appear in the night sky, Finn reached his home at the edge of the forest. He had had an incredible day filled with adventure, learning, and kindness. As he curled up in his den, his mind raced with all the new experiences he had encountered. The river was still there, a constant presence beyond his home. But now it held no fears for him. Instead, it was a reminder of his own strength and intelligence. Finn had discovered that while bravery was important, intelligence and kindness were just as valuable. And he knew that as he grew older, these qualities would serve him well in the adventures that lay ahead.